Hey everyone, this is Vidal Raven. I'm here with my recap and review of Naruto Next Generation's anime episode number 221, which is titled The Chunin Exams Resume. And considering the fact that the previous couple of episodes have been quite dark, they have been action heavy, but they have been quite dark with our heroes trying to deal with a threat like Ishiki Otsutsuki. I like the fact that we got a bit of brightness in the new arc due to the tuning exams. So the episode opens up with the students sitting in their classroom. They're ready to go through the first round of the tuning exams, which is a written exam, and Sai is there. Now, the only gripe that I have because of the current tuning exams is the fact that Genin from the other villages haven't been invited to the tuning exams, and I'm like, oh, come on now. Because I really liked seeing the Hidden Leaf Village Genin, getting to see abilities and skills of Genin belonging to the other villages, and that's something that we won't be getting in this particular tuning exams, which is a bit disappointing because I was like, maybe the rest of the kids from the other villages might end up appearing in the final round, but I don't think that that's going to happen. So the written exams, of course, it actually does measure a person's intellect when it comes to the written stuff about mathematical calculations and strategies and all of that stuff. However, a big portion of the exams is basically figuring out how to cheat without getting caught, and that's exactly what we saw during this. During the first round, where Sai is like, you know what, on average, all of you have to score at least 70 marks, 70 points in order to pass the exam. And while that's happening, we see Naruto going on live television and he's talking to the host. And the host is like, why the tuning exams now? And Naruto is like, well, at first we thought that the shinobi world was peaceful, but we were wrong. There are still a whole lot of threats that we need to be ready for. And that's why we ended up having the current tuning exams in order to get new captain level ninjas to support the village and all of that stuff. So coming to the exams and people cheating, I actually laughed, basically smiled when Mitsuki used his little snakes in order to copy answers from Salad and Boruto. And I'm like, Mitsuki, did you not study hard enough? Or did he really needed to cheat? Or was he just trying to keep an eye on whether or not Salad and Boruto were answering the questions correctly? I'm not really sure because, as far as I'm concerned, I think that Mitsuki should be smart enough to answer these written questions on his own. Other Genins were also cheating their way through the exam. I really like Denki's strategy of having this magnetic thing or a device. I think, yeah, this technological little device on Iwabi's hand, which basically copied Denki's answers. And I'm like, you know what? It makes sense because Iwabi is the type of character who needs all the help that he can get when it comes to written exams. We also had Namida's group cheat as well. A whole lot of people were cheating, and Sai ended up catching one of the kids cheating because apparently the kid was using this puppet while he was stuck to the ceiling and reading the answers. And I'm like, okay. The fact that you thought that you won't be caught is, yeah, it baffles me. I'm not really sure how the kid was like, I'm just going to stick myself to the ceiling and no one is going to notice that I'm there, that what I'm doing, that I'm cheating. So the kids are waiting for the results to see whether or not they passed, and this is where we get a moment between Denki and Boruto, where Boruto basically gives Denki a pep talk about how he should give it his all during the Chunin exams. Because, yeah, when it comes to the written stuff and the technical stuff, Denki can deliver. However, when it comes to the physicality that's expected from a Chunin level ninja, yeah, that's something that Denki still has a lot of work to do on. But yeah, but he has guts, and Denki is determined to become a Chunin, and Bruto is happy about it. And this is also where Bruto tells Denki that, you know what, basically it doesn't matter if the entire team becomes Chunin or not. Only if one of the member of the team ends up being a Chunin, then that's enough for the team to be allowed to go on B rank missions, and that's something that Bruto is very excited about. Denki is excited about that as well. So the results are here. A whole lot of teams end up passing, and we get a scene between Chocho and Inogen. And it turns out that Chocho and Inogen are kind of being quite chill during the current tuning exams, because they're like, you know what, Shikada is already a Chunin, so we already go on B rank missions. So even if we don't become Chunin, it doesn't necessarily matter. And this is where we get to see this new character. I think his name is Kotaru or something. I really don't care about remembering his name because, I mean, is he even going to appear in the next episode? I highly doubt it. But yeah, apparently he was a senior. He was Bruto's senior, and he is here to give the tuning exams again. And he basically tries to be very friendly towards Boruto, because he knows that Boruto played a big role when it came to addressing the Otsutsuki threat. And Boruto's kind of weirded out about this new character, because he's like, "Why are you being so friendly to me?" And yeah, the new character walks away. According to Denki, who ends up reading this ninja's records, apparently he has been doing missions overseas, and that's why the kids haven't seen him around. And I'm like, okay, that's a convenient way to basically explain why this kid hadn't appeared before. So it's time for the second round, and this is where Sai and Naruto come in, and they're like, you know what? The main reason for us to have these junior exams right now is basically to find ninjas who have special abilities when it comes to medicine, technology, and the sensory fields. And this is where I'm like, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if Denki ends up being promoted to a Chunin by the end of this test. Even if he doesn't have the physicality down, he is a genius when it comes to technological advancement. So I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up passing. But let's see what happens. So Boruto goes back home, and he ends up bringing these treats for Kawaki. And yeah, I was actually surprised that Kawaki didn't participate in the Chunin exams, because Inojin and Jojo are participating as a two-person team. However, if you remember, during the previous Chunin exams, when it was Sakura's turn to give the Chunin exams, while Naruto was away, she ended up teaming up with Choji and Ino, because they needed a three-man team in order to participate in the Chunin exam. So I was quite surprised that Inojin and Jojo were able to participate as a two-person team. I wouldn't have been surprised if Kawaki, if he wanted to participate, he ended up teaming with those two. But yeah, Kawaki is staying home. He isn't into participating in the Chunin exams, and Boruto is like, you know what? When I become a Chunin, I'll treat you to better things because I'll be paid more. Himawari walks in, and Himawari is like, okay, Boruto is very happy, so that means that he passed the first test. And she also warns Kawaki about how Hinata is not a fan of people eating just before dinner. Then we get a scene between Boruto and Naruto, where Naruto has come to offer his support to Boruto, which makes sense because Boruto ended up messing up big time during the previous tuning exams, because he wanted to impress Naruto, and he ended up using the scientific ninja tool and cheating. And Boruto is like, you know what, this time it's going to be different, and he is a bit anxious about it. But Naruto is like, you know what, Boruto, just be who you are. Basically, Naruto tells Boruto that even though he used a scientific ninja tool previously, this time he needs to rely on his own skills. And yeah, what will happen will happen. And the fandom was theorizing about whether or not Boruto should even be allowed to participate in the Chunin exams. But I guess after Boruto taking Amado's pills and the auto-suicification apparently being halted, I think it makes sense for Boruto to participate in the exams. However, I am looking forward to seeing whether or not the Karma Mark might end up acting up if Boruto finds himself in a dire situation. But let's see. So it's time for the second round, and when you come to Namida's group, Subaki is there, and Namida and Wasabi are there, and Namida, I think her name is Namida, right? The one in the orange who can scream very loud. Yeah, Namida ends up giving everyone good luck charms, and yeah, they're excited about the exams. And Shikadai ends up coming to talk to Inojin and Chocho, and Shikadai is like, you know what, you guys could at least be a bit more enthusiastic about this exam. And Inojin and Chocho are like, like, yeah, I don't think we can be like that. It's just something that we are having difficulty right now because you are already a Chunin. And Shikadai is like, but you know what? If you end up being a Chunin, you will be paid more and then you'll have more money to eat the type of treats that you want. And of course, that fires up Chocho. And Chocho's like, you're saying that I'll be able to eat more food. And Shikadai is like, I guess so. So that ends up motivating Chocho and Inojin to do better during the Chunin exams. So everyone is standing outside the Forbidden Forest, and Moegi is there. Moegi is like, yeah, the previous junior exams were held in this forest. So basically, the second round involves them going into the forest. There are 10 injured ninjas that they have to find, even though there are like 26 students that will be participating. And because of the fact that there are only 10 ninjas, that means that they have to hurry up and find ninjas to help before the other person gets to them. However, there's a catch that there are also decoys in there. So they need to be careful about whether or not they're helping a ninja who is injured, or if they end up stepping into a trap. So they need to be careful. As Salad put it, they have to find the hidden meaning behind hidden meanings and all of that stuff. So as Miyagi is explaining the tests, three ninjas end up going in. These three, they don't necessarily listen to what Moegi is telling them about all of the instructions. And yeah, when it comes to tests, you have to understand all of the instructions. So they go in and they immediately get attacked, and Moegi is like, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you that the forest is filled with deadly beasts, so be careful. They have 45 minutes to catch, not basically catch, they have 45 minutes to find an injured person, injured ally, and bring them back outside the gate. So yeah, 45 minutes, and the kids are ready. However, before that happens, Salad is like, okay, so there will be a third round, right? And Moegi is like, no, there won't be a third round. And I'm like, if you say so. But yeah, it turns out that as far as the kids are concerned, this is the only round they have to pass. And if they pass, they'll be promoted to Chunin level ninjas. Then we have a scene where Kotaru comes in. I guess again, I'm not really sure about his name. He's being friendly with Boruto again. He places his arm on Boruto's shoulder, which plays a role further on in the episode. And Boruto's like, you know what? You don't have to be so friendly towards me. Boruto is clearly creeped out by this new guy. So the Team 7 is inside the forest, and they're like, you know what, we have 45 minutes, and that means that we don't have time to search for allies together as a team. So basically, the test has been designed to separate three-person teams. So Salad is like, you know what, we are on our own right now, so good luck. And Mitsuki and Boruto like, yep, good luck to you. We'll see you back at the gate. So Sobaki is the first one who ends up finding a ninja to help, and we have this giant centipede trying to attack that person. And Sobaki comes in with her sword, and she is able to defeat the giant centipede. And Naruto, Sai, and Shikamaru are looking at all of the footage, and they're like, you know what? When it comes to the technical skills, Sobaki is already a Chunin level fighter. So that was something that I really liked. So Namida ends up finding Mirai, and Mirai is sitting beside this campfire, and Namida is like, oh, Mirai sensei, I found you. I'm so happy that I'm the one who found you. And yeah, I was like, Namida, you stepped into a trap, didn't you? And that's exactly what happened. And because Mirai is like, don't you think that this is very weird? That the person that you're supposed to help, that person is already sitting next to a campfire. So Dandana, it turns out that the Mirai was one of the decoys, and she ends up attacking Namida. Namida faints, and Mirai ends up calling the rest of the Chunin, and she's like, okay, someone take this girl to the medical team, and also we have to show these new Genin just how skilled and strong the Chunin are, so don't make things too easy for them. Then we see this team end up being disqualified because they end up falling into this quicksand, I guess. Like, this is the girl, from what I can remember, she has these cursed arms. And I was looking forward to seeing her in the final round because I wanted to see how she'll fight with other people with her cursed arms. But yeah, that didn't happen. Then we get to see Wasabi and Iwabi having an argument because they both ended up finding the same person, and they're arguing about who's going to save the person. And the person is like, well, you found me, so why don't you stop arguing? And those two end up yelling at the person. It was a little comedic moment that I liked. Then we get to see Hokai. I think his name is Hoki or Hokai, and his team is trying to fight another ninja, and they're like, you know what? We'll handle things here. Why don't you take this person and run away? So basically, his team. This is actually Sai's team, and I like the fact that Sai's team realizes the importance of working together, because again, they were like, you know what? It doesn't matter if you pass the test or not. We'll hold this person off while you run away. And even if you pass, that's good for us. So the other team and Boruto end up being attacked by a person who knows how to use the insect jutsu. And Boruto, in order to run away from the insects, he jumps into this lake, and it turns out that the lake has a giant snake. And I'm like, oh, Boruto, are you in trouble? But it turns out that he wasn't. Sai and Chocho are able to find a person to help as well. And Sai is not Sai, my bad, Inojin. Yeah, Inojin and Chocho. And Inojin is able to fly the person away on his stork, and Chocho has to carry the person on her shoulders. And Inogen is like, Chocho, you need to hurry up. And Chocho is like, I'm trying. Easy for you to say. And this is where Chocho is like, you know what? Why don't I just roll away? And I'm like, Chocho, don't. But yeah, Chocho ends up rolling away with her injured ally, and I'm like, oh, Chocho, I really hope that the person doesn't get more injured or basically dying. Denki ends up finding a person too, because he was able to use his analytical skills to figure out where a person who is injured would be hiding or would be staying low. And the person he ends up finding is a very huge person, and Denki tries to pick him up, but it's difficult for Denki. But Denki isn't going to. He isn't going to stop trying, and he's like, I have to do this. And Naruto and Sai and Shikamaru are quite impressed by Denki. They're like, you know what? Even though he doesn't necessarily has the physicality for it, he has the brain and the analytical skills, which are quite important when trying to decide who can become a Chunin. So Bruto ends up finding a person too, and it turns out that he was able to befriend the giant snake that he found in the lake. And I'm like, how? How? I really would have appreciated the anime team showing Bruto befriending the snake for some reason. Like, if it was Mitsuki, it would have made sense. But Bruto befriending a snake, I'm like, oh, okay, okay. So Salad ends up finding an ally too. She meets up with Mitsuki, who ended up finding an ally. And yeah, Salad is like, "What about Bruto? Have you seen him?" And Mitsuki is like, "No, no, I haven't." And Salad is like, "Should we wait for him?" And Mitsuki is like, he's on his own. So the important thing is that we get to the gate and we pass this test. So of course that sounds very suspicious to Salad. And Salad is like, I don't know who the heck you are, but you aren't Mitsuki. And because she is like, Mitsuki would never forget about Boruto or say that they should leave Boruto behind, which, I mean, that made sense as well, because when I was looking at this scene, I was like, what the heck is Mitsuki talking about? Of course, Mitsuki would never leave Boruto behind. But yeah, Salad goes in with a kick, and it turns out that it was actually Mirai using a transformation jutsu. And Mirai like, okay, that was nice. So let's see how much you've improved. And we get to see Salad and Mirai fight. Basically, we don't get to see the fight; it's just implied that they fight. And I'm like, it would have been so awesome to actually see Salad fight Mirai, a Chunin level ninja. But the fight occurred off screen. So as Boruto is making his way towards the gate with his ally Kotaru, again the new kid, he ends up stealing the ally or the injured ninja from Boruto, and this is where we find out that when he placed his arm on Boruto's shoulder, he placed a tracker on Boruto, the new kid is like, yep, that was good thinking. So I'll take this prisoner from you. Bye bye. Not prisoner, again, ally, injured ally. From you, bye bye. But before that can happen, a giant bear appears, and that scares the new kid, and he falls into a ditch. He injures himself. And yeah, the injured ally is like, you know what, Boruto, you're running out of time, so why don't you take me to the gate? And we leave the new kid to the medical team, and Boruto's like, no, that's not how I roll. That's not who I am. I have to go, and I have to just make sure that he's all right. And the injured ally is like, but what about the time? You're running out of time. Boruto's like, it doesn't matter. I have to go and check on him. And it turns out that the new kid is bleeding, so Boruto bandages his head up, and he's like, I guess I help you out. So just sit tight and wait for the medical team to check on your head. And yeah, the new kid is quite impressed by Boruto. because I think he really thought that Boruto had a pride problem because of him helping with the Otsutsuki and all of that stuff. But yeah, he finally realizes that no, Boruto is someone who isn't prideful, he doesn't have pride, he is quite humble, and he's someone who helps other people. So we get to see that Boruto ended up using a shadow clone in order to carry the new kid as well, and I was like, wait, why are you carrying the new kid? Shouldn't the medical team be handling the new kid? But now it turns out that Boruto wanted to bring him to the gate as well. He didn't want to leave the injured classmate back in the forest, which makes sense for Boruto's character, so that they're running out of time. Boruto is trying to run, but now, alas, Boruto isn't able to make it, and time runs out, and yeah, I guess he fails. And Boruto is okay with it because Boruto is like, you know what, I could have never left someone in help, someone who needed help back in the forest. So even if I fail, I'm okay with it. So the results are in, and it turns out that Boruto did pass, because the important thing is that Boruto is someone who helps his comrades, and that's a very important thing for a Chunin level ninja to have. And yeah, Boruto will be moving on to the final round, which surprises the team, because they were like, wait, we thought that if we pass this round we'll become Chunin, but Miyagi is like, no, you guys didn't listen to me properly. And I'm like, Miyagi, if you say so. So it turns out that there will be a final test, which is a one-on-one battle, which means that friends have to battle each other as well. And they have, I guess, a day or two to prepare for the exam. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the battles again. Even though the genin from the other villages won't be participating, I guess we'll get to see how strong the genin from the Hidden Leaf village are, and we'll get to see Inojin fighting someone, and Salad and Boruto and Mitsuki possibly fighting each other, which would be very interesting to see. But let's see what happens. I will be doing a written review of this for the Geekery. The link to that will be down in the comment section below as soon as the review is published. I enjoyed this episode. I really liked it. Again, compared to the previous episodes, this was a bit brighter, which I liked. But yeah, let me know what you thought of this episode down in the comment section below. Who do you think will be promoted to Chunin? Again, as I said, I wouldn't be surprised if Denki gets promoted to Chunin. I'm not really sure about Salad, Boruto, or Mitsuki right now. However, I do think that Salad will be unlocking her third Tomoe during the Chunin exams. But yeah, as far as the person who gets promoted, I think it would be Denki. But let's see what happens. Let me know. And until next time, stay happy, stay safe, stay blessed. See you guys later. Bye.